Right now, someone on your team is using artificial intelligence to do their job. They might be summarizing a client report, drafting a sales proposal, or writing a piece of code. And to a business leader, it looks fantastic. Productivity is up, deadlines are being crushed, and your company is moving faster than ever. But behind that screen, there's a ticking clock, because without clear rules of the road, that same employee may have just pasted your company's proprietary source code, confidential financial spreadsheet, or a client's personal data directly into a public AI model. This is the challenge facing modern businesses today. We're told that if we don't adopt AI immediately, our competitors will outpace us. And that might be true because AI can be an effective tool to accelerate your company. But here's what people don't tell you about moving that quickly. That momentum won't matter if you don't have a clear understanding of AI expectations. When you give a team powerful tools without a roadmap, you aren't innovating, you're playing corporate roulette. It leads to what IT departments call shadow AI, employees secretly using unvetted public AI platforms to keep up with daily workloads, entirely unaware that they might be exposing company secrets or violating data privacy laws. Faced with this, many businesses react by doing one of two things. They either panic and ban the AI completely, which paralyzes their growth, or they ignore it and allow a total free-for-all, crossing their fingers that nothing goes wrong. Neither of these are good strategies. You don't need to slam on the brakes, you need a steering wheel. A modern corporate AI policy isn't about restriction, it's an enabler of speed. When your team knows exactly what they can do, what they can't do, and where the boundaries are, they can innovate with absolute confidence. In this video, we're going to give you the exact framework to build that roadmap. We'll break down the non-negotiable data guardrails every business needs, and we'll share a simple, practical traffic light matrix, green, yellow, and red, that you can sketch out on a whiteboard tomorrow so your staff knows the exact rules of the race. Let's dive in. All right, so when designing your AI policy, there are a couple of guardrails to take into consideration to make the policy as effective as possible. One of those guardrails is data sovereignty. This means that you maintain absolute ownership and control over your company's information. To understand why this can be a risk if you don't have data sovereignty, you have to understand how most free or public AI models work. When you type information into a standard prompt box, you aren't just talking to a private assistant, unless you've specifically configured your settings. Otherwise, you're giving that data away. Putting your company's data into a public AI tool isn't like whispering a secret to a trusted coworker. It's closer to shouting it into a megaphone in a crowded room. That data can be absorbed, processed, and potentially used to train future versions of the AI, which means it could eventually show up in a response given to a competitor, a client, or the general public. This isn't a hypothetical threat. It happens every day. It looks like a software developer pasting proprietary source code to find a bug, like an HR manager uploading employee performance reviews to draft feedback, or a financial analyst dropping a confidential revenue spreadsheet into a browser extension to get a quick summary. The moment that data leaves your secure network, you lose control of it. You could be inadvertently violating client NDAs, breaking consumer privacy laws, or giving away your hard-earned intellectual property. So how can your AI policy solve this? It starts with a clear, uncompromising rule. No proprietary, confidential, or personally identifiable information ever enters a public AI model, period. But remember, the goal is to be an accelerator, not a roadblock. Your policy shouldn't just state, don't do this. It needs to point them to the secure alternative. You need to explicitly tell your team which approved enterprise-grade tools protect your data sovereignty. Platforms where the vendor legally guarantees that your inputs are encrypted, kept private, and never used for model training. By setting this boundary, you instantly eliminate your biggest security vulnerability while still leaving the door open for massive productivity gains. Now, keeping your data secure is only half the battle. Once you've made sure that the information you're putting into an AI model is safe, you have to look at what's coming out of it. Because even if you're using the most secure enterprise-grade AI system on the planet, it's still capable of making things up. This brings us to our second non-negotiable guardrail, the human-in-the-loop mandate. This is the rule that separates companies that use AI successfully from the companies that end up in the news for embarrassing blunders. AI models are designed to predict the next logical word or data point. They aren't actually thinking the way a human does. That means that they can hallucinate fake statistics, misinterpret complex context, or present completely inaccurate information with absolute, flawless confidence. If an employee copies an AI-generated response and sends it directly to a client without checking it, your brand absorbs 100% of the risk. If a contract is wrong, if a financial calculation is off, or if marketing includes a false claim, you can't blame the software. Your company owns the mistake. To fix this, your AI policy must establish a clear boundary between a draft and a deliverable. The policy should state that AI can be used to generate ideas, build outlines, or create initial drafts, but a human must always review, fact check, and approve the final product before it ever touches a client, a vendor, or the public. By making the human-in-the-loop framework the strict rule, you protect your brand's reputation while still allowing your team to move at lightning speed. Once you've established that a human must verify everything AI puts out, a massive question remains: who actually owns that output? If your team is using AI to create marketing campaigns, write blog posts, or generate design assets, you might think that because you paid for the software, the final product belongs to your business. But legally, that's a dangerous assumption, and that brings us to our third essential guardrail: protecting your company's intellectual property and authenticity. The current legal landscape is incredibly clear at this point. AI-generated content cannot be copyrighted. Trademark and patent offices around the world have consistently ruled that copyright requires human authorship. This means if you use AI to write an entire ebook, generate a brand logo, or script your next major ad campaign without significant human transformation, that content essentially lands in the public domain. Your competitors could copy it word for word, and you would have almost no legal recourse to stop them. Beyond the legal risk, there is a brand risk. In a market flooded with generic AI noise, audiences can spot low-effort content from a mile away. If your business loses its authentic voice, it loses its trust. To safeguard your brand and your intellectual property, your policy needs to set an authenticity threshold. Your policy should explicitly define how much AI assistance is allowed based on the asset being created. For internal notes or data sorting, heavy AI use is fine. But for client-facing assets, core code bases, or proprietary marketing, your policy should mandate that AI is strictly used for ideation while the actual execution remains human-driven. You want to make it clear to your team that using AI should enhance their original thinking, not replacing the company's unique perspective. By drawing this line, you ensure that everything your business produces remains legally protectable, uniquely yours, and highly valuable. By putting in place the foundational guardrails, you need a simple way to communicate them to your team members. If you hand them a giant document, they're not going to read it, and then all that work goes out the window. Instead, you could use a simple visual like the traffic light framework. By categorizing everyday business tasks into green, yellow, and red lights, you give your team an instant playbook for when to sprint, when to check in, and when to stop completely. We'll show you how to put those into practice. First up is the green light. This stands for low risk and high freedom. These are everyday tasks where data security risks are virtually non-existent, and AI can safely act as a massive productivity booster. We're talking about tasks like brainstorming headlines for a marketing campaign, summarizing long, publicly available articles, or restructuring bullet points into a clean paragraph. For green light tasks, your policy should give employees full permission to sprint. They don't need management approval to use tools like ChatGPT or Claude for those items, provided, of course, they still follow the human-in-the-loop rule and verify the final output before using it. Next is the yellow light. This means medium risk and conditional use. These are tasks that can absolutely transform your operations, but they require specific guardrails and approved platforms. Examples include using AI to help write internal code, analyzing non-sensitive market data, generating client-facing marketing copy, or using AI-powered customer service chatbots. Your policy for yellow light tasks should state, proceed with caution and only use approved corporate tools. This means employees cannot use free public accounts for those tasks. They must use your secure enterprise-grade company accounts, where your vendor legally guarantees that your data stays private and is never used to train their models. Yellow light work should always have a manager sign off before being integrated into daily routines. Finally, we have the red light. This stands for high risk and strict restrictions. This is where your team must stop completely. Red light tasks involve your company's most sensitive information. This means uploading proprietary financial records, dropping unsigned legal contracts into a browser tool for legal analysis, inputting employee performance evaluations, or using automated AI tools to screen resumes for hiring decisions without human oversight. Your policy here must be uncompromising. Performing red light tasks on public AI models is strictly banned. If a red light task needs AI assistance, it can only happen within completely closed proprietary enterprise networks with explicit executive-level authorization. This is the line in the sand that protects your business from major data leaks, compliance penalties, or brand crisis. Navigating AI can feel overwhelming, and every business leader has questions about how to use it properly. Implementing a policy like this takes away the guesswork. It keeps your business safe from data risks while making sure every single employee understands what's permitted and what's off limits. To learn more about how Ford Office technologies can support your company and its IT needs, contact one of our experts today. Make sure to follow us across our social media for tips and tricks on the office technology industry. Thank you for watching.